Hello and welcome. It is 4 p.m. It is Thursday here in the UK. That means it's time for one thing and one thing only. It's the Etch Play Weekly live show. My name's Adam Burt and I'm joined today by Dan Thomas.
Hello.
Good to see you, Dan. And yeah, we're going to do things the same way we usually do. Hopefully this won't be the Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull version. It's our 4th episode. Hopefully still good. We're going to talk about some news, of which there is a lot. And then we're going to play some Ape Out, and later on today I've got a treat for you. I've got 2 people coming on, both called Ben, a little Ben sandwich for you, to talk about product placement in games. But yeah, Dan's here, which means it's news time. Pretty big week.
Adam, how are you feeling?
I am slightly under the weather. In fact, I have strepsils here, if anyone needs any. Just going to power on through, let everyone else do the talking. But yeah,
appreciate your battling through.
The show must go on, and there's been a lot this week. I mean, who would want to miss this week's news? Because one of the biggest stories, probably of the year, maybe of the whole generation potentially, when we look back on this in a few years' time, has happened this week, and that's that Microsoft have bought Zenimax. This deal's worth $7.5 billion US, and includes their studios such as Bethesda, Arcane, id, and includes franchises such as Elder Scrolls, Fallout, the forthcoming Starfield game, Dishonored, Prey, Doom, Quake, Wolfenstein. Basically, 2 of the biggest RPGs of all time and 3 of the most genre-defining first-person shooters of all time, all under one roof. And to put this into some perspective in terms of the entertainment industry, a few years ago, Disney paid just over $4 billion for Star Wars. So this deal is worth almost 2 Star Warses. And yeah, really huge move for Microsoft to have made. And yeah, a lot of people talking about this week. Are you surprised by this, Dan? Is Dan frozen? Oh, he's back. Can you hear me, Dan? Dan? Okay, we'll give Dan some time to see if he can unfreeze himself. I'm not sure if that's his internet, my internet, or both, but if you could still hear me, let me know in the chat. The big question everyone's asking is about exclusivity. So, Microsoft owns all these franchises. Do you think that Microsoft makes all these franchises console exclusive from now on? Or do they release on other consoles, not others? Yeah, that's an interesting question to ask, and not one that we have a great deal of clarity about. Phil Spencer is out there saying that they'll consider other consoles on a case-by-case basis. Okay, I've lost Dan altogether. Can anyone still hear me? If you can, say hey. Okay, you can still hear me. That's something. So yeah, Phil Spencer's out there, and he said all these franchises are going to be on Xbox Game Pass, which is obviously a big win in itself, and that they would consider other consoles on a case-by-case basis, which I think means maybe some of these games are going to continue to come to the Switch. Xbox has some precedent of launching games on the Switch recently with Minecraft Dungeons and with Ori and the Will of the Wisp recently. May also be some franchise differences, potentially something like an Elder Scrolls, which is a huge game. Oh, hi Ben.
Hello.
You come to rescue me, you Dan's
I have.
replacement.
Dan's internet has died, so unfortunately you're stuck with me.
Okay, no worries. This is Ben Joy, taking over the news segment. So I'm just talking about Microsoft buying Zenimax and the Bethesda Fallout, and I was going to ask Dan for his reaction. I mean, what do you think Microsoft does with these franchises? Are they going to be exclusive to Xbox from now on, and PC? Are they going to release some of them on PlayStation, others not? What do you reckon?
Ultimately, it's going to come down to money. I think if they feel like they can pull more people to Xbox by making them exclusive, they will. But if they feel like they're going to make more money by having it still across both of them and essentially just taking, a cut of that revenue from selling the games, and they think they'll sell more games across both platforms then drive Xbox sales, they'll do that. So it's going to be really interesting to see which way it goes. You've got to think that we might start seeing some of these prop up on Game Pass, because that's going to make Game Pass very attractive.
Yeah, so I believe... Oh, now I've got multiple people.
Nope, no we don't.
No, switch back.
We're live, pal.
Yeah, that's how you know the show is live. You know I haven't phoned it in, because even though I'm ill, I'm still here doing it live, pressing the buttons.
Yeah.
They have confirmed that at least historic all Bethesda games will go up there, so we'll expect to see games like Doom and Skyrim show up there shortly. And yeah, moving forward, they've mentioned Starfield as a big reason, which is Bethesda's forthcoming sci-fi RPG with a new engine. It's going to be very exciting. And yes, can't pronounce his name. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella, sorry if I got that wrong, is out there talking about making additional acquisitions. I mean, it's something that people have... You know, there's always rumours about Microsoft buying somebody. It's like they're going to buy Sega, they're going to buy Capcom, they're going to buy these guys. And huge for them to actually go up there and just buy outright one of the biggest video game companies in the business. With pocket change to them. Like, it was a cash sale. Like, they've just found that down the back of the sofa.
Yeah. That's when you know you've made it, when you're just paying cash like that.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
Yeah, and I think
it's huge. It's huge, and I think the Game Pass stuff, the Game Pass offer just seems like it's getting better every week. So let's see what happens next week. Maybe.
Yeah. Next week it's all free forever. But it's interesting you say about Game Pass, because that is obviously a big part of this, and it ties into that exclusivity question. You know, is it compelling enough? And maybe it is, that they would release all these games on PlayStation 5 for £70. But release them as part of Game Pass for free. I mean, that's still a value proposition. It's like, hey, you can buy this if you want to on the PlayStation, but if you had an Xbox, this would just be essentially free to you if you were already in our ecosystem, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
I think we'll see a franchise, like a per franchise approach. I do think, like, same with how Obsidian have been doing stuff which is multi-platform. Those are historic deals for the most part, like Outer Worlds. But Grounded was maybe a bit more experimental. I could see that, you know, Arcane, a very experimental studio, maybe they could do something exclusive, but all the big franchises, there's probably enough money in it to say, we should release this elsewhere. But, I mean, it's up to them now. They get to make the decision.
Yeah, we'll see. It's very exciting. It feels like with PlayStation and Xbox, it was so quiet. We were waiting for something to happen for so long, and it was like deathly quiet, and then just in the last month, they've gone, here's a year's worth of news in a 2-week period. It's all or nothing this year, so...
Yeah. Speaking of Xbox, also in their camp this week, Xbox pre-orders went live on the... When was that now? 2 days ago? Worldwide launch at different time zones. And obviously... One of the things that they were maybe slam dunking on Sony for doing is they were like, hey, at least we've got a specific time, we've organised it. Didn't turn out to be that organised in the end. I mean, it did happen at the right time for the most part, but a lot of sites struggled, both here and abroad, internationally. Basically, every retailer in the States struggled with fulfillment and with site going down, and here in the UK it was no easier, or maybe a little bit easier, but not much easier. Xbox All Access in particular, a popular deal which involves doing a credit check, which is additional strain on an internet purchase, and that seems to have been all sorts of trouble, especially here in the UK at Smiths and Game. They've both had major issues. Game.co.uk was down for like 7 hours. Smiths, I don't know what happened at Smiths. It's like Smiths forgot to press the button. They are now all up, so the current situation, if you're looking for one of these consoles, you're a bit late, unfortunately. Xbox Series X is sold out, I think, basically everywhere, and the Xbox All Access is available still online, but only if you're already a member. So if you already have Xbox All Access from the One X days, and you want to upgrade, the upgrade path is available, but you cannot join as a new member.
Is that sold out just on the finance plans, or is that you can't even pay the $4.50 and get it now?
Across everything, as far as I know. I mean, obviously we're
Wow.
expecting, and they've talked about there being additional stock between now and launch, and we would probably expect there to be a little bit, and hope they're going to aim to have some in stores for launch day, obviously, so they can have people out there queuing for them. You can go and queue, but yeah, it's consumer demand for devices is high. I mean, I mentioned this in the roundup last week. PlayStation 5 pre-orders were crazy. Xbox pre-orders have now been crazy. The RTX 380 sold like hotcakes on every website that sells graphics cards. So I think there's a real appetite for new hardware this year. People are ready to take a step up in terms of their gaming setup, and not enough to go around.
Now, what are you thinking? Because obviously, I know that you tried to get one, and you were caught up in the websites being down and didn't get there. How are you feeling about it now that you didn't get it? Are you happy you didn't? You're going to think more about it? Do you think you'll still get one? How are you feeling now, having missed pre-order day?
I think I'll still get one, but I feel like at this point, based on the competitiveness of stock, it seems like I won't even be able to get one this year. It just seems like it'll be a next year thing. And that's it's not unheard of. With the 360 launch, that was very popular in the UK. There was a backlog of orders on those that ran until February of the following year. So we'll see how much stock is. But I was going to mention, the second half of that high consumer appetite is that there's also reduced capacity in terms of factories, and this is pandemic related. It's hard to produce and manufacture these things at scale at the minute with the way the world is, so I have to imagine that the actual numbers of units available are lower than maybe they would have liked to have been on every side.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Are you the sort of person who pre-orders, or are you going to wait for a while?
I mean, my decision was made for me on pre-order day because I hadn't really considered it. I was like, I'm going to wait and see. I'm a bit of a wait and see unless I really, really want something, and then I'll pre-order. But I think I said to you on pre-order day, I was like, I'm not sure. I actually might get one. And he was like, well, it doesn't matter because you're not going to get one anyway. But no, I'm not much of a pre-order, although the more I think about the Xbox, the more I think I do want one. So if more stock becomes available and I can pre-order one, I might. But I think, as I said to you on Tuesday when we were talking about it, I'm not sure I'll go for the finance plan if I do, because obviously it's a 2-year commitment and it's a great price, and it actually works out cheaper to do it that way. But my concern is I want something, and then maybe after 6 months I will not be playing it as much. Whereas if I just pay the full price for it now, I'll have the immediate hurt of all the money being spent, but not a constant reminder for the 18 months where I'm maybe not getting as much value out of it, where I'm still paying for it. So I'm not sure. I'm sitting on the fence at the moment. Haven't decided.
I mean, the rate at which Game Pass is growing, I can only imagine what a great deal it'll be in 2 years' time.
Yeah.
It's going to be something special. That's my thinking anyway.
Yeah.
Elsewhere, Jeff Keighley announced this week that the Game Awards are back. Not a surprise. I don't think everyone expected there to be some kind of ceremony, but they are doing a ceremony which they're describing as like a big deal. It's not like a reduced COVID thing. Obviously, there won't be a live audience in the same fashion, but it's December 10th this year, and it's across 3 cities. So they're filming it on sound stages in 3 cities: LA, London, and Tokyo. And interestingly, for this year, introducing a new award, which I think is a really positive step for the industry, and something we've talked about on our blog before as well. They're introducing an award for accessibility, so recognizing developers who go above and beyond in terms of providing accessibility options for players and encouraging more people to play, and that's definitely something that we believe in here. When everyone plays, we all win.
Have we had any nominees announced yet? I've kind of missed the Game Awards stuff, so
no nominees as far as I'm aware, unless they're coming out. I haven't noticed them. There are some questions though. People are asking whether Cyberpunk is going to be eligible. So the situation with all award ceremonies, the Oscars included, there has to be a cut-off point. There has to be a time when something has to be released by this point, so they've got time to evaluate it and decide whether it deserves an award. Cyberpunk was delayed this year until mid-November, which puts it very close to this ceremony.
That's tight. That is tight.
It's possible that Cyberpunk might not be eligible for these awards at all, or maybe it will be, but it will be a very rushed judicial process. Elsewhere, I mean, there are a lot of games coming out quite late this year, kind of tied to the fact that we've got a next-gen launch coming out so late. So, you know, games like Black Ops Cold War, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Watch Dogs Legion, Star Wars Squadrons, Baldur's Gate 3, those are all games that are yet to drop in any fashion. But most of those we're expecting to be out in time to be nominated.
Mm-hmm.
What games would you like to see win this year, Ben? What would you nominate?
Good question. Good question. What would I like to see nominated? I've been playing a lot on the Switch this year, more than anything. I'm going to be very biased. I literally just got it. I really like the Mario 3D All Stars. I don't know whether you can nominate that because it's old games, like they're not new games.
You can nominate that.
You can nominate this game from 1997, which is still the best game of all time, so it should win every year. But yeah,
they put some work into it, presumably.
I'm not sure. Like that's some of the criticism I've seen of it. I was pretty hyped for it, and I got it, and then someone's like, "Oh, they've not even remastered it. It's literally just a copy and paste job." It's like, I don't care. It's Mario 64 was one of the best games of all time. You don't need to mess around with it. So, but how about you? What do you want to see there?
There are some games. I mean, I would be very surprised to not see Last of Us 2 at this ceremony. I feel like that's almost like a shoe-in at this point for at least one category. Yeah, I don't know. I think Fall Guys should be recognised for what it's done in the multiplayer space this year. And I also think that just based on pure impact in 2020, it will be criminal if Animal Crossing gets totally overlooked. Because that's been such an important game this year for so many reasons to so many people. Mm-hmm. On a personal level, similar vein to Animal Crossing, probably won't get nominated as a result. I've really been enjoying Spiritfarer this year. That's one of my favourites. And yeah, they do like genre categories. So I could say, for example, in the strategy realm, I really enjoyed Gears Tactics this year. That was an interesting strategy game for me. Maybe resonate with me more than most strategy games do. But yeah, we'll stay tuned. Obviously, there's a couple months to go until we find out for real who wins. But yeah, exciting times for the industry. We're going to throw to a pre-recorded segment. This is me playing Ape Out yesterday. I'm not very good at it. You can have a little watch anyway. It's a really fascinating game. Winner of a BAFTA, in fact, for audio achievement in video games. And we'll be back with whoever's still got internet to talk about product placement after this pre-recorded segment. Speak to you again in a sec. Devolver Digital presents, in association with Indie Fund, this is Ape Out, which is available on PC and consoles. It's kind of a really interesting visual game. You are an ape, and I'm in a cage right now, but my right trigger will allow me to ape out, which means I can run around. You can hear a very jazzy soundtrack. It's a very striking visual look. You obviously don't want to get shot if you can help it. You want to splat these humans. Yeah, it's got a really interesting style, really jazzy soundtrack. Ah! Ah! Look out. Obviously quite a violent game. Maybe not one for the kids necessarily. Let's see how I'm bleeding. Ah! Ah! Oh, I'm dead. Yeah, this game is stylish as hell. Left trigger grabs, right stick aims. Let's see if we get any better with that. That was a bad choice. Damn. That's me dead again. Let's have another go. It's quite a short game, I'm not going to show you too much of it. Oh, I've done that very wrong. There are more levels which you can reach if you're good at the game. As you can see, I am not. Walk this guy for as long as we can. Level 2. That's Ape Out. It's available on Game Pass, where you can play it for free. And if you like what you've seen, definitely check it out. Really stylish little game, published by Devolver, who are a great publisher. And I'm going to throw it back to the live show. See you again. And we are back. That was Ape Out, played on the PC. Available on the PC version of Game Pass. If you have Game Pass Ultimate or Game Pass PC, check it out. I'm joined now by Ben Joy again, and also, welcome to the show, Ben Gammon.
Hello.
Ben Joy appears to have frozen. Live TV. He's back. Hi, Ben.
Hello.
I'm glad you're here, Ben, because we're going to talk about product placement in games, which is an area that you know a little bit about, and you've written about before, in fact, on our blog. Talk about some examples of product placement in games, and whether we like them, whether we think they're good. I'm actually going to link your blog in chat if anyone wants to read it at their leisure, but don't read it yet because you're watching us.
No.
Read it later. Save it.
Yep.
In your bookmarks. So yeah, I'm just going to run down a list of some good examples, really, and some recent examples. We'll talk about them. I wanted to talk first of all about what I believe is one of the greatest product placement games of all time, and I've been quoted as saying this game is the grandfather of Fall Guys. Fall Guys owes all of its legacy to this game, and that is Doritos Crash Course for the Xbox 360.
We do like that game. We talk about it a lot.
I mean, it's a classic example. It's capitalism made manifest in the form of delicious triangle-shaped tortillas and total wipeout style action.
We should probably say at this point that this isn't a sponsored video by Doritos.
Is it not? I mean, Doritos.
I would be amazed if you had some product placement and you're just like, today we're going to talk about product placement. I want to talk about Doritos.
I mean, Doritos, if you're watching, if anyone from Doritos is watching, my favourite flavour is chili heatwave. Send me a big bag. I'll eat them on every stream.
You are shameless.
I also accept other crisps. Any crisp vendor who's watching.
Wow.
Get in touch. Did you guys play Doritos Crash Course? Are you familiar with this?
I thought you were going to ask if we ate crisps.
Have you guys ever tried the sweet taste of Doritos?
Welcome to the Dorito Show. I never played it. No, I've looked at it after you told me about it for the third time. I've never actually played it myself. No.
Wow, you're missing out. Obviously, sorry, go ahead.
I think what's interesting there is kind of the differentiation between product placement and product branded game, because that's a product branded game, really. I mean, it's centered around Doritos, where another kind of product placement is where there's a product within the game that kind of seamlessly fits in, like kind of more as you see on TV programs and stuff like that. So I think they're both product placement, but just the differentiation between the two things.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and I like Doritos Crash Course because it's so overt. Like, it's basically screaming "buy Doritos" in your face while you're playing it. But you're very right. There are a lot of what you might describe as more subtle approaches to this, and some of those are natural fits. So, car licensing in games like Forza Horizon, real weapons, military shooters like Call of Duty, and I remember there was a big it makes it sound like it's more exciting than it is, but a big celebration at the time, a few years ago, when John Deere, the tractor manufacturer, finally agreed to be part of Farming Simulator. Which is, I mean, if you're a farmer out there and you're excited by that, more power to you.
Yeah.
We've also seen some recent examples of exactly the sort of kind of thing that you're saying, Ben, where it's not exactly subtle, but it at least is embedded in the game in some fashion.
Mm-hmm.
Death Stranding, famously, the main character loves Monster Energy. I'm also available, Monster, if you want to talk, give me a ring. Details down the bottom. And Wasteland 3, another Game Pass game, came out just recently. Top-down Fallout-style RPG. Classic Fallout style, I should say, for anyone confused by that. They have Snickers in it. You can find a Snickers and eat it, and it's good for you. Not sure about that last part. But... yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts, either of you, when you see a real product in a game? Do you like it? Or are you like, oh, that's a bit weird?
I think it depends whether it's, as you said, whether it's natural. If it's a natural fit, then cool, yeah. If it's funny, I'm gonna like it. If it's kind of like, what is this? Why is this here? This makes no sense. Then I'm not into it. I don't know what you think, Ben. Other Ben.
No, I agree. I think if you're expecting to see products in games, then fine. It doesn't break the immersion. But if I was playing one of those games and I suddenly saw a Snickers, that would probably ruin a little bit of the game for me.
Okay, you wouldn't expect to see Snickers in your post-apocalyptic RPG.
I would love to see them.
Yeah.
But in real, if it ever happened, but
they'll be the first to go. The looters will snap all the Snickers up.
I think where product placement is really strong, where it probably has the best impact, maybe not the best impact, but where it's kind of the happy medium for advertisers and for players, is where you kind of don't notice it, but it's there and you can see it, but you maybe don't quite register that it's product placement. It's so natural, because I think that's really the idea behind product placement, isn't it? It's you put something in there while you're thinking about something else, and it becomes embedded in your mind. Like that's the theory behind it, and that's where kind of like if you're playing a game, that's where it's really strong because you're going to play it over and over and over again. So if you keep seeing this thing and you're not really registering it, but your brain is registering it, then that's where it gets embedded, and that's where the power is for a brand or an advertiser to put in a game without annoying the player where you're like in the face where like, yeah, you're running down the street to get away from like a zombie and there's like a vendor being like, hey, want a Coke on your run? Like, that'd be weird. That'd be weird.
No, I like that.
So I think that's the sweet spot really, where it's, you know, if that's what you're going for, if you're going for a subtle product placement, that's what you want to do. Whereas I said, like, I enjoy it if it's funny, like if it is actually in your face and the point is to be, this is really stupid, and I'll laugh at it. Like, it depends where you're aiming, and I guess it depends what kind of player you are and what kind of game it is, really. So.
I guess there's two sides to look at it from. There's the point of view of the game, where you would probably want it to be less obvious, more subtle. But then from the actual point of view of the product, you'd probably want it to be as big a talking point as possible. So in the case of Snickers, when people think of that game, they think of Snickers straight away. And from a product point of view, that's probably what they want.
There's definitely a balancing act. I like the fact that Ben Joy's preferred product placement, he just wakes up in the middle of the night sweating. He's like, I need a Samsung Galaxy tablet, and I want to join the Navy, and I don't know why.
Just embed it. Slow burn. That's where it's most satisfying.
Ben Gammon, you are one of the resident Rocket League experts in the studio, and they've had their fair share of brand partnerships, including Jurassic World, Fast and Furious, Back to the Future, lots of movie licenses actually. They did Batman vs Superman as well, didn't they? Do you use any of those? I know you're borderline pro player. Would you ever be caught dead in a Batmobile?
I don't know about the pro statement, but I have been known to use the Batmobile from time to time. It's the only one I've used of the additional cars that they've put in, but yeah, I'm all for it. I think what you tend to find is that it's better now, but in the past there was only like maybe 2 or 3 cars that got used, even though there was loads. And it's just nice to see variety, basically, in a game that you play a lot.
Yeah, and we should clarify, in Rocket League, all the cars are cosmetic. It's not like, hey, if you bought the special Pizza Hut car, you go faster. So it's not like it breaks the game. It's purely like almost a way of showing some kind of brand allegiance to a film that you're a fan of, or something that you like.
With the Rocket League example, is that, so when you're using the Batmobile, was that like DLC that you paid for, or is that like a partnership between Rocket League and the movie studios that they'll put it in for free and that's the deal? Like, how is that typically in Rocket League? Because I guess there's 2 different models there, from like a partnership of mutual benefit and there's no cost to the player, or it's a partnership but a cost is passed on to the player to be able to.
Yeah, so all of those were paid.
Right.
It was basically like a couple of quid for each of the cars. It wasn't just cars as well, so they did some sort of like, some of them had goal explosions. So for Jurassic World, the goal explosion when the ball went in the back of the net, like a T-Rex came out of the goal. That's pretty cool.
That does sound cool.
Although, if you were on the opposite team and someone had that, and you lost like by 4 or 5 goals, by like the time the third one goes in, you're pretty sick of that T-Rex.
Yeah, he's doing a wheelie in Dominic Toretto's Dodge Charger from Fast and Furious. The T-Rex roars behind you, and you're just there like, could you please skip the replay?
I guess the golden question, as we're talking about product placement as a means of advertising, is, so you said you used the Batmobile. Did that make you think more about the movie? Did it make you more want to go to the movie? Was it more in your head from seeing it in Rocket League than it already was? So I guess I'm asking, did it work? Were you brainwashed by the product placement?
Did you see Batman?
Probably. I did, but it wasn't off the back of seeing it in the game. Do you know what I mean? It was.
You're already a fan, and this was just maybe a way of showing that fan side of you.
Yeah, and I think a big thing for when they have these new cars from films in there, if you can get the pro players using them, then you're obviously going to drive a lot of sales. So there were quite a few pros who used the Batmobile. I've seen some pros use the Skyline from Fast and Furious. I haven't seen any pros use the Jeep from Jurassic World.
You heard it here first. Jurassic World is trash. If you use that Jeep, you suck at the game.
So I personally wasn't that influenced by the marketing in the game to go see the film. But
yeah. It's interesting that you mentioned pros, because while we're putting together the material for this segment, doing the rounds on Twitter this week, and you may have seen this, Burger King decided to, and this is an interesting kind of real life crossover because they did this in real life. They sponsored Stevenage football team, which is a lower league team here in the UK, as part of our Premier League structure. Which, I mean, on its own is quite an amusing little bit of PR in itself. A huge multinational corporation backing a tiny team. But they kind of unveiled a video this week on Twitter which shows, I guess, what their end game was with it, which was because they knew that game, that team rather, was going to be in FIFA, they could leverage that and encourage the audience to play as Stevenage, but transfer the world's biggest players in. So they could transfer Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi and, you know, Gareth Bale, Salah, whoever you want, whoever's your favourite football star, you can transfer them into Stevenage and play as Stevenage. And they incentivised this a couple of different ways on a hashtag. There was some burgers you can win. I don't know how that works. You get a voucher code or something. But obviously the output of that is lots of footage, digital footage, but footage nonetheless, of, you know, the best players in the world playing in a shirt with the Burger King logo on it. And maybe not quite as good as seeing the real thing, but clearly a inspired and creative way to shoehorn your brand into a game. And
a lot cheaper as well.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, sponsoring a football club isn't cheap at the best of times, but I have to imagine Stevenage is a lot cheaper than anyone in the Premier League is. And yeah, that's been doing the rounds on Twitter. It's worth checking out the video if you've not seen it. It's interesting marketing campaign. Did you guys see this?
I did see it, yeah. I saw it the other day. Someone linked it to me on LinkedIn, and I watched it and thought, yeah, good idea. Really liked it. Nice to talk about something positive Burger King have done in the games space this year, based on past events. But no, I liked it. As you said, it was a really smart idea. The hook of getting people to, you know, incentivize them to do it, and then they reap the benefits of, you say, like seeing the top players in a Burger King shirt, and the stats they put up like in that video, like it worked. Like Stevenage was the most used team in career mode, which is hilarious. Like that never would have happened. So yeah, really smart idea. It's a bit different. It's nice to see different things, and it's clearly worked for them. It seems like it's worked. The stats they pulled out in that video are good. So yeah. I just thought it was fun, and that's for me when marketing is good, it's when it's fun, and especially in games, because that's what it's about. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too. Let's go get burgers, because that brings us to the end of today's show. Burger King or other burger vendors are available. Thanks for tuning in today. If you've watched us, I know we had some internet issues halfway through the stream there, so thanks for sticking with us. We'll be back next week, assuming anyone's internet still works at that point, talking more about the latest news, playing some interesting games, and talking about marketing in games. Thanks very much for your time, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.
Call us. Doritos, call us.
Yeah, Doritos, call me. Monster Energy, call me. I love the zero flavour.
I like how he's call me, not call us, call me specifically.
No, just me.
Adam
Don't call the others. Call me.